Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mainstream Indie Music Channel. If you are a guest here, welcome to you. I really appreciate you checking this channel out. And what this channel is we talk about all things indie music. It could be from any genre, and we're even trying to always expand the time frame as well. We tend to stick to the early 2000s to maybe mid 2010s indie scene where it really exploded because of the internet, but we do cover other genres and times and bands as well. And we're always looking to expand. And if you are a reoccurring guest, over 700 of you, I can't believe it. I talk about it all the time, but it's such an honor for you to even be subscribing to this channel. I really appreciate it. This week, we are talking about the group Grouplove. Their kind of interesting history, how they all got formed together, and the kind of bumps in the road, to no fault of their own, might I add, that the band had to endure along the way. And so the band first starts and revolves around two people, Christian and Hannah, and they were from New York. And what's interesting is I believe they were interested in each other, especially since now that they have family together. You couldn't really tell me otherwise, but what was happening is Hannah had seen a small show that Christian had put on and was interested in him and his music. And so what happened was she had, I would say, very soon after the show, been going to Greece for kind of an artist commune. And she actually invited him to come along. She thought it would be a good idea for him musically if he came along. And so he thought about it and he said yes. And so the two of them went out to Greece. Now at Greece, they were drawn specifically around three other people. So about five of them all together were kind of meeting up over and over and over again. Now specifically, they were meeting on the island of Crete. And they met a couple of people, Andrew, Ryan, and Sean. So now you have the five of them together. Now, what's interesting is Ryan had come, I wouldn't say from music royalty, but his family had definitely musical ties and connections. And at the commune when they were together, or at the retreat when they were together, I shouldn't really call it a commune, they were starting to say, hey, the group's all together. Oh, the group's together. And so the name Grouplove was born. However, they as a band did not get together yet. They still went their separate ways because I believe the three other members of the band that I mentioned, not Christian and Hannah, but the three others lived on the West Coast, specifically Ryan, who's important to the story here initially. And so they all went their separate ways to New York and California, but then eventually Christian and Hannah realized, hey, we kind of had something special musically with the other three members that we met over there in Greece. And so they pooled enough funds together and they literally moved across the country to form the band. Now, the reason why that's important is because Ryan, whom they had met out in Greece, had a music studio connection. And so they used that same music studio to record their first music together as the band Grouplove. Right away, they as a band were recognized for their initial songs they were releasing. I don't know if it was through connections again that their bandmate had, but Florence and the Machine, who we done a video on in this channel, recognized their talent and brought them on tour with her. Right after that is when they released their first album, Do Not Trust a Sad Song. I believe is the name of the album. Hold on, let me look that up just to be sure. And yes, I did have that right. I just had to make sure. But after releasing their first album, they went on tour with other fellow bands that we have mentioned on this channel. First, they kind of toured in tandem with Two Door Cinema Club. I wouldn't say one band opened for the other. It was kind of like they were working together. And then right after that, they went on tour with Young the Giant. At this time, Grouplove had two massive singles, especially one of them in particular. One of them was Colors, and the other one was Tongue Tied. Both songs, I should say, were featured either in video games, They were featured on national TV circuits. They were featured in YouTubers' blogs, one of them in specifically, but I'm not going to really mention his name here, and many other commercials as well. So they were really getting recognition, and that's what led to the release of their second album. Right at this time, it was about 2014, 2015, and sadly, Hannah had gone to the doctor because she wasn't feeling well, and unfortunately, the doctors had found a mass in her brain. Now, luckily, they were able at the time to say that they were able to find it and get rid of it. And at this time, too, one of their bandmates, Sean, had left the band and they brought in another person. He said there was no bad blood between anybody. He was just kind of ready to do his own thing. And I believe he has his own YouTube channel with his own music that he has released. So it looks like, there was no bad blood there. He just kind of went in his own direction. They continued to make albums. They made a third album and I believe a fourth album. And at this time, happily, Christian and Hannah had gotten together and they had even welcomed children to themselves. However, around 2019, 2020, the two of them, Christian and Hannah, were sitting together with their child one day when Hannah said all of a sudden one of her arms started to go numb and immediately sensed that something was wrong. They quickly rushed her to the hospital and she had found that the growth on her brain had come back. Luckily, after this time aggressive treatment, she said that she was able to move past this growth. Grouplove has since released two more albums since 2020. I believe one of them was in 2021 and the other was in 2023. That brings them up to about 6 albums that they have done together. And so while they have had some lineup changes, nothing too big, but they relatively have kept the same group of people together. And like I mentioned before, when Sean had left, there's no huge bad blood between them and members that have left as well. And so that kind of leaves Grouplove in a spot where a lot of these indie bands have, where they are happy and content, it seems like, with the crowd and fans that they have grown. It doesn't, they, like I said, they had 2 major single successes, especially off their debut album. And I think they are sitting pretty comfortably as a band. I don't think they're going to be interested in trying to get mainstream again. I think they're pretty happy with the fans that they got touring. And they just continue to, like I said, they're having family together now. So they just continue to tour, raise their family, and kind of enjoy their stardom. What do you guys think of Grouplove? Let me know, and I'll see y'all next week.